Back a long time ago in 2023, ADO launched their first crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. And the crowd went wild, raising over $600,000 and putting these guys on the map. The bike they launched was the Air 20. This bike is the Air 20 Pro, which has dual torque sensors, 1, 2. And FYI, most bikes just have 1, and a Gates carbon belt drive system. 2 nice features that I'd like to see on bikes. But the thing that put these guys on the map is the auto shift motor. All of the shifting happens right inside that little black circular thing because there's no shifter, no derailleur. This is a single speed bike. And yet when I hop on, start pedaling, it's super easy. And right about now, it switches and it feels like I'm in 7th or 8th gear. If you guys haven't tried a bike with an auto shift motor, you gotta. This is the most intuitive bike that I've ever tried. Now, I'll get more into all that stuff a little bit later in the review, but first I want to stop and show you what this bike has to offer. And the first thing is the price. This is going for $1,985, a unique price for a unique bike. It comes in 2 colors, has a 1-year warranty and free shipping. And now let me walk you through it from front to back. In the front, we got Cheoyang street tires, just less than 2 inches wide, an aluminum fender, Tektro hydraulic brakes, a headlight, front fork suspension that you can lock out. Frame is just beautifully crafted. I like the design. One thing that's unique is there's no welding scars where it folds. You do have some back here in the rear fork, but the main part of the bike is nice and smooth. Back up here, the wiring goes internal just behind the head tube, and they got it wrapped in a couple places as it comes up to the handlebars. Then there's Tektro hydraulic brake levers, some custom grips that ADO makes, which I like the look of those, and they actually feel pretty nice. You got a color LCD screen, but when you turn the headlight on, it is pretty dim. So if I turn off the headlight, there you go. Plus and minus to change the pedal assist level up to 3. Now, if you hold down the plus and minus button for a couple seconds, here's everything you can change. And the first is the units. You got auto power off, screen brightness, boost gear. So you can set this to 3 or 5 pedal assist levels. Power mode, you have eco and sport mode. I'll talk more about that in the speed test. Below that, you have turn signals, and that switch is pretty cheap filling, but when you flick them left or right, you got a light showing up in the tail light. It doesn't display on the LCD screen, and you do have to set it to center to turn them off. There's T-shaped handlebars, and I like the length. It's got this quick release up top. You loosen that, and you can rotate this and adjust all the gear to how you like it. And once you got it set, just close that. And the last thing is the flick bell. You'll also notice there's no throttle. This is a pedal assist bike only, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Moving up here to the seat post, this is where the battery's at. You can turn that battery on and off. Got a pretty basic saddle, grooved in the middle. Quite hard to be honest with you, but it looks nice. Behind that is the charge port, and this is where you plug the battery in, and you can't take that out. Moving down from the saddle, this is where the Gates carbon belt drive system is, which is just super clean, except for all the mud and splashes that I got on it the other day. But I like these because the maintenance is just minimal. There's no grease, and they last longer than chains. And like I mentioned before, there's a torque sensor here and on the other side, which makes that motor reaction time just... That's how long it takes to have the motor engage. Moving back, you have a little tiny rack. Not sure what the weight capacity on that is. I would guess about 15 to 20 pounds because it is just bolted onto the frame. The tail light is on the back. The wiring for the tail light is underneath the fender. Not my favorite design. I've had that fall down on other bikes, but hopefully they got that squared away on this one. Then you have a 250 watt motor. This folds down like any other foldable bike. Handlebars go down, saddle goes down, pedals fold up, kickstand up, handlebars then fold down, and frame bends in half. And one of the cool things about this is there's a magnet that will hold it together if I did it right. And it's not that heavy at 39 pounds. And there's your workout for the day. So the size of the motor is not what is impressive. 250 watts isn't a lot of power. And when set to the highest pedal assist level, the bike's topping out at 15.5 miles an hour, which makes me yawn. The good news though is that you can make it even slower. I guess you'd have to like a very slow bike to have that be good news. If I set the power mode to eco and then keep it at pedal assist level 3, it's slower, topping out at 10 miles an hour now. So it's pretty clear to see that these guys did not focus a lot on power.
Hurry up, Carl.
On turbo mode, speed mode 3, you're only going 15.5 miles per hour. What they did focus on was giving you more options. On eco mode, you have 3 pedal assist levels. On sport mode, you also have 3 pedal assist levels. If I did my math correctly, 3 plus 3, 6 different riding modes. Now, if you do want to change the advanced settings, you don't have to do it on the bike. Everything I just showed you, you can do in the app. Now it's time to talk about my favorite feature with the bike, and that is the auto shift motor. The motor senses that you're stopped and therefore puts it in a low gear, which is what you want when you're starting to go. And then after 8 revolutions, you can't hear it, but I can feel it, and that motor shifts up in gear. And then when you come to a stop, again, you can't hear anything, everything is completely silent, but you only notice that something happened when you begin to pedal again, and it's just super easy to get going again. I love that feature because it makes the bike just a very intuitive ride. There's nothing you have to do, and I gotta say, I could get used to this. The other thing I could get used to are the dual torque sensors. I've never tried a bike with 2 of them, and I am in love. Love is a strong word. I don't use it lightly, but I've never seen a hub motor bike, the motor reaction time that this has. As soon as you put pressure on the pedals, it goes. Now, when you take the auto shift motor and the dual torque sensors, you've got some pretty awesome climbing power. And there it goes. Up we go. Okay, so I think I've talked about power enough. It's time to move on to ride and feel. Yeah, first thing I'm gonna, talk about is the posture and how much you can adjust this. First, the seat post goes down quite a ways. Handlebars go down. And at this point, they say it can fit a rider 4'9". For reference, I'm 5'11", as most of you guys probably know. I think it'd be okay if you were 4'9", riding this bike. Plus, it's just a small frame. There's just not a lot to the bike. So usually smaller riders prefer something a little bit lightweight and small, and that's what you have. At this level, they say it can fit a rider 6'5". When I've got the saddle set to my height, I like a slight bend to my knee. It's a pretty comfortable posture. Cockpit is spacious, and you got a nice upright posture. Now, the riding capacity on this is 264 pounds. I'm not quite that heavy, but I wanna hit this trail with some speed and test out the tires and the front fork suspension. And first thing I gotta talk about is how quiet the motor is. There's pretty much zero noise coming from the bike. And then the suspension, when it's hitting these bumps, like right there, there, and there, it's actually pretty comfortable. I've tested some $2,000 bikes, and I say this is right on for what you would expect paying that much money. You got softer tires, a little higher end suspension. Saddle is a little bit rough, like I mentioned before, but everything else is pretty cushy. Well, I think I've covered pretty much everything except for the battery. That's a 36-volt, 9.6 amp hour battery. It takes 4 to 6 hours to recharge, and they say you can go up to 62 miles. Okay, well, it is now snowing, so I think it's time to wrap up. I've never tried a bike with an auto shift motor, and as you can tell, I am a fan. I like it. But I'm always curious to find out what you guys thought of it. So let me know in the comments. If you want more info, I've got the link below. And if you want to pick it up, I've got a coupon code to save you a few bucks. As always, I appreciate you guys hopping on here and checking out my content, and I'll see you on the next one.